Good afternoon, Frank Watkins, 8th of July 2022. The All Ords today finished 6876. We're up 156 points from last week's close at 6720, so pretty healthy week. And given the current structure of the All Ords and a few stocks, I believe that we have seen the lows. Which in itself doesn't mean a heck of a lot unless we just keep going up. But fairly typical, I think. The first rate rise, the whole world shook, and I thought unnecessarily. The second rate rise, the whole world quivered a bit, and the third rate rise was a bit of ho-hum. I tend to think that this is similar to dozens and dozens of incidents that I've seen over the years, and while a lot of people won't have witnessed them, I'll give you one example. February, March 2020, when the COVID first hit, the whole world was going to die. We were all panic-stricken. Modelling said that 80,000 Australians would be dead, and the world came to an end. Then we had Delta, and the reaction was pretty bad. It was nasty. Then we had Omicron, and basically with Omicron we've just taken the masks off and to heck with it, let's get on with life. And I've witnessed the markets doing the same sort of things at various different times over the years. Now, firstly, just looking at the All Ords, we're looking for this higher, higher, higher low, and I hate to keep harping on about it, but I suggest you go back to March, April 2020 at the bottom of COVID. I suggest you go back to March, April 2008 after the GFC. You could go back to the telco crash. You can go back wherever you like. And you will find these higher, higher, higher low setups. The issue is recognising them at the moment, acting on them while we're all worried about the inflation and the Ukraine and all these other external factors. The other thing to remember is that it is stocks that will drag the All Ords up. The All Ords will not go up on its own. It needs some stocks to drag it up. Now, on that basis, let's have a look at a couple. PNV, Polynovo. Bought the break, stopped out, bought the break again, and now happy. Having a bit of a false start like this is not unusual. But, it's just one of those things. It happens. So you either buy this and sit and wait and hope, or you keep a loose stop and perhaps you didn't stop out here. However you want to trade it, but you must keep watching it. Look at the on-balance volume now and 4 days of increasing volume in a row. So all this week, PNV has been going up. So that was about the first one I think that I put up on Facebook. The next one was TLX. And again, we've got the same setup. We had a high, higher low, higher high, and away we go. So that's 2 out of 2, and this one went up on Facebook as well. Nice big gap up here at $8, so on and so forth. I've been talking about Westpac for the last couple of weeks. This one is shaping up or has done it today, depending on which way you're going to trade. I've discussed this at length on numerous occasions, so I'm not going to go into it, but when you've got a bank in these conditions, let's say leading the way, that's part of what gives me fairly good knowledge or intuition or whatever that the low is in place. Now, West Farmers, this has done it. Significant low, first high, higher low, and breakthrough yesterday, today, whenever you like. But West Farmers appears to be on the way. It's going to probably fumble and stumble a little bit in this sort of area where it is right now. But this is where you make up your mind whether you're going to have a stop right down here or a stop right up here. That risk management, that's up to you. Another one that I've put up on Facebook today, I think, CXO, lithium, been out of favour for a while. We've come back, we've closed this gap. That's the first sign that there could be a turnaround. Okay, we make a high. At the moment, we've made a higher low. We need to make a higher high, and to my mind, we need to get through about $1.05, $1.06. So what I'm really looking for, or what you need to imagine, is what has really, really been belted. If the market's down 15%, what's down 50%? So if we look at something like CXO from $1.60 down to 80 cents, that's down 50%. We can start looking. Now, there's a few other stocks I'm going to mention along those lines. Karoon Energy. Now, this has just set a new low. It's oil and gas. Why on earth is this down so much when we're paying $2.20 in WA for bloody unleaded? We've run out of gas. The whole world has collapsed again. We've got no power. Coal's dead. Renewables don't work. But here we go. Just watch Karoon for a while for a signal. The next one along those lines that I'm watching, CRN, Coronado. This is coal. Now, we've been to 225. We're now at 150. We've come back to a pretty decent basing area along here. It's just a case of wait for the higher low to turn up, but I'm certainly keeping an eye on CRN. I don't know what's happening with coal over east. I don't know what's happening with Coronado. I just know that we're going to be using coal, I think, for a long time yet. So I'm prepared to just keep watching. OBV's pretty terrible. I might have a long wait on CRN, but I'm happy with that and I'm prepared for it. Let's go to the iron ore boys. These have all been hammered, absolutely smashed. Champion Iron was an $8 stock. It's now a $5 stock. OBV still fading, fraction of a turn up in the last day or two, but a long way away from a higher low. Gaps all the way back up here. It just needs China to mention the word iron ore, and I think some of these boys will start to do pretty well. BHP. In June we were at $47. We're now at $39. We're starting to. I'm starting to think we've got the long-term low in place here on the 6th of July. We've got to wait for the higher low, and the higher high. Just be patient. Another iron ore boy, Rio. Long-term low at $92. Where have we been on Rio? We've been to 130. We're now at 97. So, there's opportunities coming in Rio. And then you've got to throw in Fortescue. I think Fortescue is the most difficult one of all of them to pick because there's too many people that day trade this. People are in and out. People just smack this around all day, every day. 6 million through today, $112 million worth. So I do think Fortescue is a bit harder to pick. I would still be waiting for some basing action and definitely waiting for the higher high, higher low. And if we want to go back here, we can see a first high, higher low, and we take off from about the $15 level straight up to 22. So I think that on those numbers you can afford to be a bit choosy and bide your time. A very quick higher high, higher low scan. 3 of them there. I don't like that at 4 cents. I don't care. I'm not saying it doesn't look good. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I'm not interested in 4-cent stocks or 3-cent stocks. MYX, Main Farmer. This thing has promised so much to so many for so long. I'm just a bit of a disbeliever in MYX. But I suppose you've got to argue long-term low, high, higher low. It's worth keeping an eye on. Whether you trade it or not, the ball is in your court. Couple of goldies. Let's have a look at Dacian just for a change. This is a 10-cent job from I don't know, a $2 job. So they've either run out of ore or there's something desperately wrong with this thing. I would be hesitant to enter, even though there's a nice looking gap up there. The gap's only at 16 cents. It's not a spec stock like some of the others that came up in the scan, but it's certainly getting that way. I think there's better stocks out there. For instance, perhaps St Barb's. Now, a bit of a long bow so far, but certainly long-term low. I'd probably argue as this being the first high, simply because it just about closes that gap. I would expect St Barb's to close that gap, back off, and then we might get a buy signal as it takes out that high. Bit of patience yet on St Barb's, but the Great One tells me they had a pretty good report. They met all their targets this year, so maybe St Barb's is back on track despite the fall or the recent fall in gold prices in the US. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, and touch wood, I'll talk to you next week. Cheers.